Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video, I've got a brand new game coming to Gamefound called Firesiege. This is a new one from Deer Games Studio. It is a 1 to 5 player game that takes roughly 45 minutes to an hour and a half to play, and is a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together to defend the Citadel from the Skrill siege. So in this game, this is a tower defense game where you and your fellow players are going to be working together to try to accomplish different goals and complete the objectives of the mission, which is going to be flipping these 6 different flag tiles over to their completed side. And you're going to be able to do that in a number of different ways, including meeting different objectives, killing warlords, and defending the Citadel. So throughout the game, the enemies are going to be moved by the different cards that are going to come out and affect them. And there's going to be a number of different ways the players are going to lose the game. First off, if a Skrill ever reaches the center, which could be a hunter, a warlord, or a queen, then the game is over and the players have lost. Also, if one of the players is eliminated, if the Horde token ever reaches the center of the Horde track, or if you are required to put out a Skrill Hunter or Queen and there are no models left, then the game is also going to be over and all the players are going to lose. The players, again, are going to win by flipping over all 6 of the different flag tiles. So throughout the game, the players are going to take turns, and during each player's turn, that player is going to play one of their tile cards. And these are double-sided, with one side having a benefit and the other side having some sort of penalties that the player is going to have to resolve. Now the trick there is that each player is not going to know about what is on the opposite side of that tile. As when they reveal a tile from the bag, they're simply going to place it in front of them, which could be the good side or the bad side. And they're going to have to rely on their fellow players to tell them what is on the other side of the card. Now the trick with that is the other players cannot simply just tell them, hey, this particular tile has these actions on it. They can only really give the player broad information about it, saying, well, maybe not play that one at this time, as these effects are going to be negative for us, and so on and so forth. And so that is going to be a big part of the game, is communicating with your fellow players about what is on their other side of their tiles, and really helping them, hopefully guiding them towards making the right choice. But ultimately, each player is going to choose which tile that they want to play during their turn, after the other players talk about it. Now, in this video, I'm going to be playing through the game, but I'm going to attempt the solo mode and the hard difficulty, as this game obviously is relies very heavily on communication. I'm only one player, so I'm going to go ahead and try the solo mode in this one and see how this is. But again, the big part of this game is the communication aspect of it as well. Getting that feedback from your fellow players and trying to work through these different situations and hopefully accomplishing your goals. So as always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow, be able to produce this content. If you want to stay up to date on all my videos, also give that notification bell a ring, and that'll let you know whenever I drop new videos. I do also want to point out that all the materials in this video are prototype materials and are subject to change, and look a lot better in the final production copy of the game. So with this one, I am going to be playing through the first, middle, and end few turns to show you how this one plays and progresses without it being a super long video. So let's go ahead and head to the table. We'll see how this one plays. Before getting into the game, I do have a couple of additional things that I have to do for setup, and I also do want to explain a few things around the board. So first off, with setup, I still have to complete my different objective cards. So each game is going to have 3 objective cards. One of them will always be out, which is destroying the nests. And this one is going to get me a number of different flags by destroying those different nests that are out there. The green nest is going to get me 1 flag, the yellow nest will get me 2, and the red nest is going to get me 3. So if I just eliminate the 3 nests, that will be enough to win the game. The next 2 cards are going to be randomly drawn from a deck of cards that will have different ones out there. So this first one here is Save the Civilians. With this one, I am going to be placing Skrill Queens out there, and each one of them is hunting for humans. And so they're going to have a tile underneath them that you're going to have to flip each time those queens move to determine if they find anything and spawn new enemies, or if they are just going to continue looking. So that is a lot of queens out there, and that's bad news for me again, because if I have to put out a queen and there aren't any queens left, the game is over, I'm going to lose. Now, if I'm able to eliminate all 3 of those queens that have those tokens on them, I'm going to receive 3 flags for that. So this is a big deal. That's a good one. And the final one is Healing NORAD. So she is your central character, and in this particular card, she can be a character that comes out and actually helps you. So with this one, she is going to go into the central location. Once she is healed all the way, in order to do that, you have to get one of these tracks all the way to the top and then choose to spend that track, bring it all the way back down to the bottom of that track, and then you're going to get to place her out starting in that central tile. And then as she moves around, she has a number of different abilities that are going to really benefit you for the rest of the game. So getting her out is going to potentially really help me. And she is also worth 2 flags. So if I can do that, that is also going to be a help for me. So from there, I did place out draw my 3 tiles from my bag. I do have to handle 1 horde card to summon different enemies. So this one's going to have me adding an enemy to yellow. So that's my second one. Now, if there's 3 of these guys, they actually convert into a queen. So I have to be really careful about that. And then, nope, that's going to be yellow. So I misplaced there. And then they're going to move. So each one of them will move 2 spaces. And they're going to go by the shortest path possible. So if there are breaks in the wall, they're going to move through those breaks to go into shorter paths if those are available. So these guys are going to go into here as they move 2 spaces each. And then same with the queens, they're going to move 2, except for the one that has the token. So she's going to flip this token. And it's a person, so that's good news for me, as it is not going to spawn more creatures. If it would have been the other side with the little sack, she would have actually spawned new Skrill warriors. So she is instead going to move 1 space as she's looking around for humans, so it's going to take her a little bit longer to make her way through. So from there, I have resolved that card, so that's going to simply be discarded. And then that is it for setup. So before getting into the game, again, let's go over a couple more things. So again, I have a bunch of different gauges over here. The first one here is my power level, and I'll be able to build that up to be able to use different abilities on my character once that character is awakened, and hopefully triggering other things. I also do have an attack one, and as that works its way up, that gives me bonus attack points. When I perform an attack, I can choose to spend those, bringing this gauge back down to take advantage of that. The next one is for spawning my character, my good guys, my little Vulcans, into the Citadel. And the higher this gauge goes, the more I get to bring out per action that I choose to do for that. And then the final one is my movement. And this is the number of movement points that I get when spending a move action to take a move. And as that goes up, that gives me more move points that I can spend to move my hero as well as the Vulcans around the map. So that's that gauge. I also do have the Marel gauge down here. So these are the mercenaries, and this is a positive-negative gauge. And when one of the cards comes up that has one of these guys comes out, you're going to resolve the top card. If it's in the negative, it's going to have negative effects. If it's in the positive, it'll have positive effects, and then that gauge will move back to 0. So from there, let's get into the game. So with the solo mode, I'm only going to be using one character, which I've chosen the Archer. She is really good, but she is very weak. She only has a few hit points, so I have to be really careful on how much damage I take with her, as if she loses all her health, then the game is over. But she has a really nice amount of combat, and if I can get her over to her awakened side, which I can do by either, this one says that I can move a marker on the power up track above the highest milestone. So if I get it higher up on the track and move it beyond that, that will awaken her, flipping her card over to its awakened side, or I can spend 5 power. So once I get this to 5 or higher, I can spend 5 of that to flip her over to her awakened side as well, which will unlock a couple of her abilities. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So with the solo mode, there's only a couple of differences with this one. During my turn, before choosing one of my tiles, I can choose one of them to flip to the other side. Now, once it's flipped over to the other side, I'll have to remember what's on the other side, as I can't flip it back over. I can't keep checking it. Other than that, I will play a tile during my turn and resolve all the effects on it, and then continue on. And the only other difference is that I do have a little bit of leeway with the Citadel, as it'll take 2 or more enemies to get in there to end the game for me with that regard. So I have a little bit extra leeway on that one. All right, so moving into my turn, I have to choose one of these tiles to spend to activate its abilities. And again, I can flip over one of these tiles to see what the effects of it are. So I think my goal during this initial part of the game is to go in to build up one of my tracks so that I can get to the awakened side of her, and also being able to bring NORAD out, I think would be a big help. And then if I can start getting up and handling some of those queens in some of these areas, I think that is also going to be a big thing. I do have to be careful here, though, as these guys are already only a few spaces away from the Citadel, so if they get a couple of quick activations, the game is going to end pretty quick for me, so I have to be careful where I go. All right, so getting into it, I'm going to choose one of my tiles to flip over. I think I'm going to flip this one over, as I definitely want to get power, but being able to know what the negative is for 3 power is going to be, I think, helpful for me. So this one would actually give me a Vulcan action, so I get to choose either a move action, a summon action, or attack action with that, so that's not too bad. But it is going to advance my track, or the Horde track, by 2 spaces, which would, the first space is blank, but then the second space is another Horde card, so I'd have to deal with that. All right, so now I have to choose a tile to activate, which I think I might choose this one. This is going to give me 2 power points to spend across one of those charts, and then it is going to either have me advance the track by 2, or I can take a wound on my hero, which I think I might do at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this one. So first off, I have to choose to raise one of these by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this one by 2. So that's going to give me 5 movement, and then I'm going to take a wound, my character card, and then I'm going to flip this over, and I can resolve the effects of this. So this is going to let me heal or raise the power by 1 per slot. So I'm going to go ahead and heal 1 right away, as I think that is going to be beneficial at this point. The next one, since I'm already fully healed, I'm going to go ahead and raise that by 1. And then I could choose to close a barricade if I'm in the same space as a barricade, which I'm not currently. Or I could open up a barricade if I wanted to as well, which can be risky. I mean, I could work my way over there to start working on some of those guys, which might not be a bad idea, which I could open up a breach here, which would get me right in the path of them. Tough call. All right, what to do? Could be useful, as that would get me there pretty quick. Otherwise, might take me a little bit to get there. No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to do the breach. So I'm simply going to discard this tile. So I'm just going to place that up above my board. And that is going to end my turn by drawing a tile at the bottom here. Okay. All right, so this one has, that one's pretty good too. It has me raising this by 2, which would be good, and then giving me an action, but again, I don't know what is on the other side of that tile. All right, so that is the end of my turn, so let's go ahead and move into the next turn for my character. So what do I want to do from here? This one would be good. I get to choose one to flip over. Knowing what the other side of that one is could be beneficial, so I think I'm going to flip that over. All right, so this one would have me lower my spawn gauge by 1 and resolve a spawn card. I don't like that at all. So I don't think I'm going to do that one. This one would give me the 3 points, ends the activation, but then I'm going to have to move that Horde spot 2 spaces. So I think I'm going to resolve this one first. I think that's probably my best bet. So each one of these lets me do an action, which again is either a move action, it's a spawn action or an attack action. So I think I'm going to start off with a move action because right now I'm not really in a good position to do much. So the question is, what do I want to handle? I think going after her might be good and then trying to get in there and handle them afterwards. So with that, I am going to do a move action first. So now that my gauge is here, it gives me 5 movement points to spend. So I'm going to spend 1 to move him, 1 to move him through the breach, and then I'm going to move her 1 and 2. And I don't think I want to do anything else at the moment. All right, so that was my first action. My second action, I'm going to go ahead and attack. So with the attack, I'm going to add up all my attack points. I'm going to get 2 for that. I get 1 for each one of the Vulcan warriors. If I had any bonuses to this, which I don't currently, I could choose to spend those to add to it. And then I do get to roll the die to see what happens with this. All right, and so with that, that means that I have to resolve her attack. She basically retaliates first. So I lose one of these guys for that. And so that would readjust my power, my attack power, but that still gives me 3. So it is enough to defeat her as she needs 3 points. So I do eliminate that queen, and then that will go on that spot there. So then I have 1 action remaining at this point. I think I'm going to do 1 more move action. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think that's a good spot there. All right, then I have to flip this over and resolve the effects of it. So it's going to have me rolling the die and determining the amount of damage that I take plus whatever else. All right, so it's going to have me taking 1 damage, and it does move this over 2 more, so that's really bad. All right, so I'm going to have to try to get that back over at some point here. All right, so this is going to be discarded, as that is the end of my turn. And again, I'm going to draw a new one up. So let's see what I pull here. And, oh, okay. So it's 2 more on this track, and it's a healing one. Okay, so that is interesting. All right, back into my turn. What else do I want to do here? All right, so I can choose 1 to flip over. So I already know that this one's the 3, and that one was the 2 and an action. And that's what's kind of scaring me a little bit here. What to do? I could find out what that is. Or I could flip this back over, allowing me to handle the other stuff first before activating the enemy stuff, which could be helpful. Which way do I want to go? Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and flip this back over so I can resolve this first. So first off, I'm going to gain 2 levels on that. And then I get to do an action. So I think I'm going to do an attack action there again. And we'll see what the die has to say, because I have 3 power right now, which would be enough to take out another queen. Unless their attack comes up first again, which I'll have to change over and hit the 2 hunters instead. All right, so I got a +1 sword, so that gives me 4 attack now. So that actually is pretty helpful. So I'm going to take out the queen with 3, and I'll take out one of the hunters with the last one. And then again, it does a damage, so I can either take it on my hunter or my archer, or I can take it on one of these guys. So I think I'm going to take it on one of them, as I really don't want to lose her just yet. And then this is going to flip over. And again, it's going to lower my spawn by 1, and then it's going to have me revealing a card and handling the effects of that. So it's another yellow. It's going to add a Skrill Hunter, and then it's going to activate all of the yellow hunters, or all of the yellow enemies on the yellow track. So it's just him. So he's going to move 2, but he's going to stop here because of the Vulcan Warrior. Each Vulcan Warrior can stop 1 hunter. And my hero character can stop up to 2 hunters or 1 queen. All right, so I'm going to hold him there so that he doesn't keep moving. All right, that is that token or tile. So now I'm going to draw a new one. All right, so this is 2 and a breach. So I think at this point, I'm going to take a few turns off camera, and then I'll be back a little bit later in the video to see how things have progressed. All right, so moving back into it, I've been able to move around a little bit. I've had some more activations with some of the enemies getting awfully close to things, and we'll see how things go. I've gone through a few more turns, been able to upgrade that track to a little bit of more of a positive level. So if I can get this to go off, that'll be a big jump to my movement, hopefully getting me some good movement points. But from here, let's get back into the action. So again, I have to choose one of my tiles to play. This 3 action tile would be really good right now, but I don't know what's on the other side. The question is, do I want to find out what that is? We're having to resolve that first. So I think I'm just going to flip this one over. Okay, so not a bad option for my next turn, but I think I am going to pop this one for this turn. So that lets me do 3 actions. So the first one is I'm going to go ahead and spawn some of my Vulcan warriors. That's going to give me 3 of them now because of where my token is. So that's good. Then I'm going to do a move action. So I'm going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So hopefully I can slow some enemies down here. In my last action, I'm going to go ahead and do an attack on this queen here. She has that token. Getting her out of the way would be great. So let's see what happens with that. And it's a +1 Skrill Warrior. Okay, so he'll be added in there. Let me double check, make sure that gets resolved first, because I will probably still have enough to defeat all of them. All right, place 1 hunter from the supply into the space where the attack is taking place. Okay, so yes, he does. All right, so my total attack power is 2 from her, and then 1 from each of those for a total of 4. So that'll be enough to take care of that queen, giving me my second token. So I just need 1 more to complete that task, and that'll eliminate that Skrill Warrior as well. Then the retaliation is going to happen, so I'm going to have to lose one of those guys because I don't really want to take another hit on her. That was my 3rd action, so now I'm going to flip this over, and it's going to deal me some wounds, so that's not good. All right, so it's going to take 1 wound on me, and I have to lose 2 on the track. Okay, so that's not good. All right, so that was that token, and then I have a new one coming out here. All right, so it's lots of boosts there. But I think at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And let's go ahead and see what that one is. All right, so that's going to lower movement and have a spawn card revealed. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one instead. I'm going to use the 2 to heal, because that was close. Don't want to go down just yet. And then the breach, I'm going to go ahead and close this breach, but in the process, I'm going to also move through it, as that is part of that. So that way that'll cut off those red enemies from that area, gets me in with them, and let's see what happens here. So I get 2 and then I can either advance 2 or take a wound. All right, so I'm going to advance one of my tracks by 2. What to do here? I mean, I'm getting pretty close to going up. I just need to have one of those tracks that I can kick over that amount. So I could do that with my spawn one, get it really close to it. It won't be able to go over yet, but it'll get it really close. So that could be very helpful. Or getting those extra attack might also be good, or the movement. I mean, there really isn't a bad choice here. It just depends on which way I want to go. I think I'm going to go with the spawn track and bump that up 2 more. And then I have to choose to either advance the horde track by 2 or that. I think I'm going to advance the horde track by 2, and that is going to bring out a warlord. And all right, so he is going to go in red. And he is my first warlord that's out. He's worth 1 flag if I can defeat him. So getting over there and handling him might be a good option there. All right, that is that. So now we're over to this one. Okay, so it's, oh man, that's a tough call. So that's 1 there. So that would bump, I could choose to bump that up. That would be enough to send me over. I'd also bump this up into the positives, and I would get an activation. Oof. Wow, what to do? I do really like that. That is a helpful option. Questions. I think I am going to do that though. I think getting her awakens is going to be a huge help. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with blue. Now I'm pretty sure when you, let me double check this real quick because I don't want to screw this up, but I think when you go over on 1, you can choose another track to get that so you don't actually just lose the points. To raise 1 power track of your choice by any number of spaces. Whenever you should raise a power-up marker, but it is already at the top space of its track, players must decide to raise another one of their choice instead if possible. Okay, yeah, so you don't lose the point. So that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the blue track to raise up. That is going to trigger my ability, and that's going to allow me to flip my character's card over. Which doesn't give me any more hit points, but it does give me gives me 3 on my attack now. And I do have a couple abilities now. So I have Dart, so this is a special skill. It lets me choose an adjacent space containing 1 or more enemies, and I can deal 1 to 3 damage in that space. So being an archer, I can fire to other spaces that I can see. And then Steady is a passive trait. During your turn, you may roll any die you can... when you roll any die, you can re-roll a second time, ignoring the first result. So again, can be very, very helpful. Okay. Then I have to choose a different track to raise. So, I think I'm going to raise the power track, actually, because I could actually go ahead and use that ability right away and hit those 2 little guys and get them out of there. So I don't have to deal with them. Maybe. And then I do have 1 action. So I could do an attack action. Oh, and I do get to raise that by 1, so I am in the positives now. Yeah, and I think I will take an attack action there. So let's see what I get. It's a sword. So I think I'll take that because that gives me a total of 5. So that is enough to take care of the queen here and these 2 hunters. So that's helpful. And then I do take 1 damage. So I could take it on Vulcan Warrior. Yeah, I think so. All right, so that is that. So now I have to flip it over and resolve the effects. So it's dropping the sword track by 1, and I have to resolve a card. All right, so this one's going to have me adding 1 hunter to the area, and then it's activating all reds. So they're going to move 2, and then he moves 1 space. Okay. All right. All right, so moving into the next round here. Let's see, what do I want to do? So I'm still not too far off now. I could work my way towards... All right, so, but I got to be careful because these guys are going to go through that breach, and that'll put them really close. But I do have some guys there to kind of stem the tide of that. Well, let's go and flip this one back over. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one here. So that's going to give me 2 on my track and either health or energy. And take an energy and then flip this over. So that's going to drop it down to 3 and a card. All right, so that's going to add a Skrill here and a Skrill in green, which immediately converts that to a queen. So there's tons of queens there. Still no rolls. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, so next tile is 2 energy and a breach. I think I want to use this one. So first off, I'm going to do another spawn. So that's going to bring 3 more in. And then I think I'm going to do a move action as the second one. So I still have 5 points. So there's 1. And 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I can close a breach or open a breach. I think I'm going to close the breach. Now I got to flip it over. It's going to drop my sword down by 1. And it's another spawn card. Whew. All right, so this one's going to add 1 in each area. So that's going to convert those guys over there to another queen. So I've got another queen out. There's 1 there and 1 there. And then finally it's going to trigger that. So this is going to activate twice. 1, 2, 1, 2. And that'll bring it back down to neutral. All right. So then that's going to go. All right, that'll be discarded. That was everything on there, so now it's another tile. All right, so that's going to drop that by 2. That would be 2 energy. I do want to check on my ability, though. Do I get to target the enemy of my choice? Choose an adjacent space containing 1 or more enemies, then deal 1 to 3 damages. And you can spread damage as you like in that space. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and flip this one over as my option. So that's a heal 2 or 2 energy and an activation. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this. All right, so I think I'm going to gain 1 in that, and then I'll gain 1 in my swords, and then I can choose to do a breach, which I think I'm good with. So then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to roll a die to determine how many I lose. I lose 1, and this is going to go down by 2. So 1 will go away. And that is that. And before I end the turn, I am going to spend 3 power, 1, 2, 3, and shoot into this space, targeting that queen with the token on her. So that will complete that, and that's going to give me 3 banners. So I'm going to get 1, 2, and 3. And that completes that objective. All right. So I think I have to draw another tile. So I got to be careful with this, because if it reaches the bottom, it triggers. And then based on where it is, he's going to deal damage. So he could do 3 damage to me, killing me completely. So I got to be really careful with those. So what do I want to do here? So I know that one drops it by 2 as well. So I might want to do this one to raise it by 2, and I'll gain energy. So that'll flip over. That's going to drop this by 1, and it has a card. All right, so it's going to have them activate. So they're going to move in. I can hold 1 with her. This one's going to keep going, and then he's going to stop here because of my other character. And then I add another warrior. So that's that. And that's all the tiles in the bag. So anytime I have to do a new one and there aren't any left, I have to add these back to the bag. And I'll go ahead and shuffle these up real quick, trying to mix them so that they come up, because these bags are a little small, but again, this is just a prototype. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. Okay, so then let's draw a new one here. All right, so it's another one of those. Well, let's go ahead and activate this one. I want to gain 2 energy. And I'm going to go ahead and use all of that energy real quick to activate my dart again. And I want to target the queen here. So I'm going to take her out so that she can't just keep running there. And then I'll flip that over, and that's going to drop it back down 2. All right, so that's the 1, 1, and 1. I think the backside of that one was fairly nasty, if I remember what that was. So I could bounce back to this one, which I think I'll do. So I'm going to spend that, and then I gain an energy. That's going to drop my run by 1 and a card. All right, so this is going to add 1, and then they activate. So the ones here are going to go first. Question is, do I have to stop it? Otherwise, these guys are going to move in and become, well, they're just going to bypass. Yeah. Because I've already held up everything I can, so they're just going to move right on past there. All right. So that takes care of that. All right, so it's 2 energy. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one here. This is going to give me 2 energy. And then I have to choose how I want to resolve this. I am going to go ahead and take... Take 1 there. And 1 there. And then I'm going to take a wound. I'll flip that over. Lets me heal 2. So I'll heal 1. Gain another energy. And it lets me open or close a breach. So I think I'm okay there. Okay. It's another sword drop or that. So again, back into my turn. I'm going to flip this over. All right, so it's 2 actions and a breach. Well, I think I'm going to do this one. So that gives me the 2 actions. So I think my first one is a move. I'm going to move her on out with this guy. 1, so that was 2. I have 7 movements. So here's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that was my first. My second, I'm going to go ahead and attack the nest there, as there aren't any enemies there right now. I'm going to have 3, 4, and then I'm going to roll a die. And it's another sword. So that's 5 to the nest. The nest will be destroyed, and that one's worth 1 point. So I get another banner. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and spend all of this to bring her out. So let me go over her stuff real quick. Make sure I'm doing this right. All right, so she is put NORAD on the power-up track. All right, and then whenever any one marker reaches the top space, as an additional action, you may heal NORAD, drop the power-up marker to the bottom space of the track, and put NORAD on the Citadel. You have saved her. From now on, whenever a player uses the Vulcan action to move, they may also choose to move NORAD on normal spaces or through breaches. Until NORAD is in a space, any Warlord, Shriek Queen, or Hunter entering or being already in that space of the board will not activate due to Horde cards. Moreover, whenever you perform an attack and NORAD is in your space, she provides +2 strength to your attack. NORAD, however, cannot make attacks directly. And she is worth 2 banners. So there is banner number 5 and banner number 6. Well, I was able to pull it off. It came down to a couple of important choices that I had to make, and being able to keep those tracks up where I was able to save NORAD there, of getting those 2 extra banners was a huge help, and being able to get over and handle that Horde nest. So I hope you found the video helpful in deciding whether or not this is one you want to back. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Gamefound Mage page and drop any questions you have there in the comments section. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.